lives and we follow Jesus because it's convenient. We look at following Jesus and we make it more of a convenience and a comfort and less of conviction. And every single one of us here does this. And we have a leaning as humans to look out for ourselves. Every single one of us struggles with this. You know, we think everything is okay as long as we're in control. We don't ask God to give, or we don't give up anything because we like to do what we do. There may be some non-edifying TV programs or things that you look at the computer that are completely not honoring Christ. And we don't give that up. And we follow Jesus at a distance. Well, don't ask me to give this up. And we do it all the time. Or maybe there's another habit in our lives that we just don't hand over to God's control because we follow Jesus at a distance. And every single one of us does this. I am not exempt at doing it. I struggle with this. Everybody here struggles with this notion of allowing Christ to penetrate every portion of our lives. And we make following Jesus a thing of a comfort than anything else. And the reality is that Jesus wants to penetrate every aspect of our lives. Jesus wants to have all of us, not portions of us. The truth of this morning, if you're taking notes, this is the truth. This is the core. That Jesus does not want part-time followers. Jesus wants all of us. He doesn't want part-time followers. He doesn't want us to keep him at arm's length and follow him at a distance. He wants full-time followers. And this is a constant learning for us. We constantly have to learn this. Jesus wants all of us. He wants the good, he wants the bad, and he wants the ugly. He wants all of us. Because when we continue to give our control of our lives over to him, what happens is he can transform us from the inside out. He can bring healing into our lives. He can perform miracles beyond our imagination in our lives as we continue to give things over to him. Jesus wants all of us. He doesn't want part-time followers. And that's easy to say, hard to do. The good news is this. The good news is this. Jesus, God looks for steady growth. Through this life, we grow. He looks for that steady growth. He is not into instant perfection. And a lot of times we put that pressure on ourselves that we have to be instantly perfect. And we try to put that pressure on ourselves. And God doesn't want that. He's just asking for us to grow steadily. Paul writes, be holy as he is holy. Continue to grow into the character and goodness of God. You see, and we can learn from an unlikely character, an unlikely guy in the New Testament. And a lot of times we skim over this guy and we don't really look at his life and what really transpired. And his name is Nicodemus. Nicodemus. And Nicodemus, his whole account is in the book of John. John chapter 3, John chapter 7, and John chapter 19. And we see this progression of growth in his life. But who is Nicodemus? First, Nicodemus was a Pharisee. He was a Pharisee. And what a Pharisee is, what it means to be a Pharisee is that you are a separatist. That's what it actually means. That you're a separatist. The Pharisees, they separated themselves from the general population of the Hebrews, the Jews in Jesus' time. They separated themselves. And they separated themselves to study the law. They studied the law inside and out. The first 4 books of the New Testament or Old Testament, they knew inside and out. They could quote anything out of it. They knew it. That was the law. They separated themselves from the study of the law. And they also separated themselves from like the pagan practices that was happening throughout all the Roman world at that time. So they were separatists. And so Nicodemus was a Pharisee. He was a separatist. He knew the law inside and out. He knew the first 4 books of the Old Testament. And because they knew that, and they put everything in that basket, they said, you know what? The way to God is through the law, knowing the law, memorizing the law. That was their view of their way to God is through the law. And it was this group of Jews that changed. When we read the Old Testament, what happens, we read of this whole sacrificial system that God gives to Moses. And I'm not going to get into that. But what the Pharisees did was they changed the sacrificial system into Judaism, or Hebrews, the nation Israel, from a religion of sacrifice before God into a religion of the law. Everything was about the law. And so they were pretty much legalistic. To follow God, this set of rules. The law says that you need to do this. If you don't do this, you don't follow God. And we here in North American Christianity, we can actually, there are churches that say, here's the law. And they are legalistic churches. And you hear, oh, that's pharisaical. You heard that word around Christian circles. What they're saying is it's about the being legalistic of following rules instead of just following Jesus. And the Pharisees, they were a part of a party. And what I mean by that is this. You know how we have the Republicans and the Democrats, and those are parties, and they have control over the government and control over the country? The same thing is in Jesus' time. And we read the New Testament, and you read words like the Pharisees, or the Sadducees, or the Herodians, or the Zealots. Those are all what those are referring to as parties, like Republican and Democrat. The nation Israel had religious parties, and those were the religious parties that made up are the different religious portions of all of Jews. Does that make sense? Clear as mud? Clear as mud? But the Pharisees, they were the largest of all these. They're the largest of all of them. They controlled the synagogues. They controlled the churches throughout all of Israel. They controlled it. They controlled, and because they controlled the synagogues, they had this control over the general population of all the Jews, of the nation Israel at the time. So they were very, very powerful. They were very, very rich. They were part of the middle class, upper middle class. So they had a lot of money. And we can look at the Pharisees, and we can draw some comparisons to Christianity too. They are both, the Pharisees and Christianity, they are both missional or mission-minded. The Pharisees is the only group of the Jews that actually went and sought to make converts of the non-Jews to follow God. They believed in life after death. They believed in a resurrection and life after death. That this is what we experience now is not all there is. This is only temporary. They believe that. They also believe in the reality of angels and demons in spiritual warfare. They were the only party that really believed that. And we, as followers of Jesus, we believe that spiritual warfare is very real and present in our day too. So there's a lot of comparisons. So Nicodemus, that's kind of his background. That's kind of how he viewed everything through the Pharisees, that Pharisee mindset. He was also, we read in the Bible that he was a part of the Sanhedrin. I know I'm throwing a lot of words out. I'm trying to explain it, to try to give you really where Nicodemus was coming from. And the